secretary's watch says 10 o'clock, because we're going,
Right on.
we're going to go ahead and get started. This is just a work session, be no voting or anything going on in this work session. We've got 5 topics here. We might have another topic or two, and we do have an extra topic coming on before we get started. And I know Curtis has got things to do, but Curtis, I'm gonna go ahead and let you make the presentation. I know we've been having a lot of dry weather and all, and our neighboring counties have approached the fact that they've stopped all burning. I need you to go ahead if you want.
Okay. We have been in communication with both the National Weather Service and Georgia Forestry and the State Fire Marshal's Office. And at this time, here in Pickens County, we are going to impose a countywide burn ban. This burn ban not only affects permitted outdoor burning as people do this time of year, but it also is going to include campfires, cooking fires, any other kind of outdoor burning, and the use of fireworks. And this is going to be in place until such time as we have significant rain in the county. A brief shower is not going to change the effects of this. One of the things driving this is right now is we have a large weather front coming in the next 5 days. Actually, it starts this evening with high winds in forecast of up to 35 miles an hour. We have
no rain, just wind.
no rain forecast with it. Actually, the Weather Service is saying no rain at least for the next 10 days. The drought that we have ongoing is at such a severe level that any kind of little spark can cause a major fire. So we are asking the people of Pickens County, the residents here, to help us with this, to relieve the issues of us having brush fires or fires that are out of control, and the property they save may be their own.
Right.
And I appreciate the commissioners giving me an opportunity to get this before the public so that we can get this out to the press.
Right. We got nopickens.com is here, and progress is down here, so we'll get that thing.
Okay.
Y'all don't mind get that thing out as quick as we can.
And the Fire Marshal's Office on our Facebook page, we will put out an official announcement of this on that, so that will be able to be copied and spread throughout the county.
And while we're on and off the subject just a little bit, and in regard to the weather situation, have you heard anything more than we know about water resourcing? I know Pickens County is fine, but we're asking for volunteer restrictions on watering grass and all right now for the drinking water purposes. Are y'all hearing have you heard anything from the National Weather Service from the state of Georgia about any kind of water restrictions so far?
I have not personally heard anything come along the line. We are having a weather webinar at 11 o'clock today, and most of that webinar is going to be about the drought, and actually representatives from the Georgia Forestry is going to be on that webinar too.
Okay.
To talk about the fire hazards.
And I think most of the jurisdictions in Pickens County, which is Pickens County, City of Jasper, the entity of Big Canoe, and the entity of Bent Tree have all voluntarily asked for water restrictions within their communities to slow down, watering grasses and all right now. But I just want to be sure you haven't heard anything, because I haven't heard anything else this morning.
And I have spoke with the City of Jasper's fire department, and they're on board with this total ban also.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any other to that? It's not open to the public, but.
I was going to say, I concur with everything this gentleman said. I've got a pile of trash that I decided not to burn 2 weeks ago. I've got fireworks, and I was going to blast them off after the election regardless, and I've already decided not to do that unless we have major rain, and I don't think we're going to get it, so I concur.
Well, we would appreciate that. All right, that gets us on down. Now we can get started on our item for discussion. The first one on the list is the Cemetery Preservation Commission in regard to the reason and justification for cemetery and historical preservation. We've had an individual bring us the documentation and wanted the county commissioners to review the. That's okay. Anybody's phone goes off, they buy lunch today. Or just come Saturday night and you feed them, won't you, Jerry? It's in regard to the cemetery and historical preservation of abandoned cemeteries throughout Pickens County. There is a few counties throughout the state that have initiated this, but they wanted Pickens County to take a look at this as we go forward for the next few months. And many of the surrounding counties, including Douglas, Cobb, and Cherokee, have all major construction projects which were severely interrupted or stopped entirely, resulting in major mitigation and damages which, when occurred, by both the developers and the counties. This includes an $8.7 million project in December 2015 at the University of Georgia campus in Athens, where work was halted on the expansion and renovation of Baldwin Hall and remains to be in the process and reinterred at major expense. These counties all formed cemetery preservation commissions to address these issues. So we have got the paperwork in place to the fact that we're going to start reviewing these, and then we'll take them up at our next county meeting. And Richard, I guess you'll help us through planning and development with some of this documentation for this.
It's something that if the Board of Commissioners deem to be appropriate, and if the legal language is reviewed and thoroughly vetted and recommended for approval by the county attorney, such that it's in the right manner to be voted on by the Board of Commissioners, and ultimately the Board of Commissioners votes to approve it and it becomes part of the code, then planning and development, we'd be glad to coordinate with the volunteer group, which hopefully would maintain this, run this. You know, my chief concern would be that the county attorney has, is fully aware of this. I don't know if he, has fully read it.
He's got a copy of it. I don't know if he's fully.
I know he's got a copy of it. I just want to make sure that before y'all vote on anything, that, he's okay with the language.
Yeah, I can't speak from other two commissioners, but I think we're 2 or 3 months out from voting on this. We just want to be sure we do our due diligence, cover ourselves, because we really don't want to put Pickens County per se to the point that we've got to keep up many cemeteries in the area. And I don't think this is the intent of this document, other than the fact that it does give a guideline to that effect. So but we just want to bring it out on the floor to where we're all aware it's going on. That way you and a few others can take a look at this as we go forward the next few months. All right. That brings us down to item 2 on a budget transfer policy revision. On item 2, this is in regard to the finance director. You want to talk to it? You want me to just read it off? What?
Well, I will if you'd like. We've spoken about this before. It's merely changing the verbiage that's in the current policy to include within the overall budget limitations. The finance director has the authority to transfer funds from one budget line item to the other without regard to category, except those related to personal services, which are salary-related items. The Board of Commissioners must approve transfers of any salary-related items. No increase in the overall budget can be made without the approval of the Board of Commissioners and amendment to the budget. And that is because right now within the function number of a budget, the finance director has the authority to transfer monies from a salary line to operations, and that is what we were looking at changing.
And this is not in regard to as a department head or another elected official that want to change monies within a budget line from one budget line to the next. He or she can still do that until it comes to the salary budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Within operations, they can move monies around. But this is just requiring that, and they would still be able to do it. It's just that they would come before the board. It's nothing that I would have the authority to approve.
Okay.
Moving monies from salaries or benefits down to operations.
All right. Everybody got any questions on that? I think the county attorney is still reviewing that policy, and there is other counties that got that's already got this policy in place. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I guess to cut to the bottom line, or the real quick definition of that is to give the county commissioners I don't think the authority, but give them the heads up to the fact that before they move any money out of the category for payroll in their budget line, they can change anything else, but just payroll budget line is what you're.
Right, and actually, when they do that, there should be a reason. If they have, if an employee with a high salary or with any salary has retired and they're not going to replace that position, if they can show that they have that money in that line, then that would, that's your decision. You could absolutely allow that. But the thing is, if their salaries, when we budget salaries, it's based on, usually it's a pretty close number as to what the exact salary is going to be. And if they start moving salary money around and down to operations, we still have to pay the folks.
Yeah.
If they work, we have to pay them. So they're going to be over budget in their salary line. It's to prevent that and so that you all will know about it.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's see here. Item 3 is liquor sales. We're going to go to item 4.
Actually, there was a nice article that Wayne Crawford put in the smoke signals. Did you get a chance to look over that?
I started reading it the other day when the smoke signals come in, but I hadn't.
He was somewhat making a case in there that he thought if we had to have a special election, that it would pay for it, that the revenues would pay for it. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Since
it was just, no, it wasn't liquor by the drink, it was liquor by the bottle, wasn't it? Just like a package sales.
Package, yeah.
And that would have to go for a vote before the voters of Pickens County. I do know for a fact that if you do have a special election, it runs the county taxpayer somewhere between $16,000 and $20,000 just to have a special election for that. And if it comes to the point where we get it on the ballot and for vote on it, I'd like to see the point that if we can catch when there's a regular election going on where it doesn't cost that extra money to do that. But something for us to look into. Any other comments to that item there other than we are looking at it? See it.
We can check on when the next election is and maybe give Wayne that information, just to be helpful.
Well, that or Board of Elections can get that information also, just with a phone call.
Yes, yeah.
That'll work. All right, that brings us down to item number 4, Burnt Mountain Preserve Conservation Easement situation. We have been in discussions with the Mountain Conservation Trust, Burnt Mountain Reserve, and a few others. Phil Landon was going to speak to that. He's not here right now. But there are some things that they would like to look at and go over. I think when you get to page 3, you're going to see some items in that, and whether we as a group wants to change the guidelines of the Burnt Mountain Preserve, which is, I think, about 4 to 6 parcels up there. That's probably total altogether is over 1,100 acres that Pickens County actually owns, I guess, above the watershed of Grandview Lake in the city of Jasper, up off of 136. So there is some things that we need to look at on that one. Hiking trails. We just want to try to see if we can come up with some sort of regulation with all these different parcels that have been joined together under one parcel, where the guidelines on controlling each parcel, we could consolidate them into one unit when we build trails or whatever we do up there for the public, that we don't have to jump through quite a few different hoops going from one parcel to another to make it happen without stepping on somebody's toes.
Is this something that I'm sure Phil has?
Phil's looking at that.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I had a meeting with a gentleman, Phil Landrum, pardon? Don Wells, who's the
George Kimberly.
George Kimberly, a few of them, thank you, Deborah, first of the week, and we're kind of reviewing some of these to see if there's someone we can go to make we're not wanting to change anything, just make it easier to, if Don and his group, Mountain Stewards wants to go from one section of property to the other section of property, and it's bought different times, there could be some different guidelines to each parcel. We're trying to come up with some sort of plan to make it a little simpler than having to redo drawings and all from one area to another. I think, if my memory serves me correct, I think Frank Martin bought the first 600 or 700 acres first time, and then later on, Dan Nass, NAAS, had some property that was purchased here a few years ago by the county. I think Frank's was bought under a state or federal grant originally, and then on that 600 or 700 acres. Then the Dan Nass property, we had some money left that we could purchase it from the general fund. And then the last one we had is the property that they were wanting to do a development up there above Grandview Lake, and this property adjoined that, and there's one or two other little parcels up in there that has been acquired by either federal money, state money, county money, and then some of it was grants from Mountain Conservation Trust, I believe, and a few other entities like that.
Then it makes sense to try to get it all with some uniform language.
That's correct. I think that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
There'll be some more discussion on this one here also.
Yeah.
Jerry, you got any questions on this?
No.
All right. Yeah. That brings us down to number 5 on the proposed 2017 budget. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Harvey.
Okay. The budget is on schedule. It will be, y'all will vote to advertise on the 7th, at your meeting on the 17th. At that time, we'll have the public copy here, and it will be on the website. And then hopefully it will be approved at the December meeting.
Have you seen any issues to the fact that after we went through all the budget hearings, anything changed since that has happened?
The only adjustments that I had, and I had basically had to do it to almost every budget, is the insurance adjustment. We were very fortunate that the insurance increase was not as much as we were told it was going to be, so that saved a little bit of money. And then I made the other adjustments that y'all discussed during the budget meetings. And I'll have all that information in your books. It looks like overall we're going to have a little over $600,000 in the contingency fund for next year. So that's very helpful.
Okay. And if that money is not used, it will go back into the fund balance. We're still building the fund balance as we go on. Any other questions that y'all got while we've got the opportunity? Let's see here.
We had that one other thing, the ordinance that you'll need to adopt in next, it's being, I put it under their packets. I think, Rodney gave you a copy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We do have another, Rodney brought this in earlier. It's a state, is it state or federal that's changing? State. Can you give me can you give us a read, you were Reader's Digest version of this?
The state has a minimum mandatory set of ordinances for soil erosion, and they've made some alterations and changes to it this year. I was able to finally obtain a copy where they show the differences from what we already had on the books to what they're being presented, and about 99.5% of it is dealing with coastal soil erosion. There's a couple of things on the front page dealing with who does the certification that will affect us, but other than that, that's about it.
What's in red is the changes.
Just the changes that they made.
Has that already been approved by the state?
That's what they're requiring each issuing authority to adopt and to submit to them by the end of this year in order to continue our status as an issuing authority.
So the seawalls and all that in Hinton, we just go ahead and.
We'll work with it as best we can.
Probably fits, but I'm sure. Worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, yes. So everything that pertains to Pickens County should be on the front
It's
page.
basically on the front page, yes, sir.
But I'm still seeing coastal marshlands.
The EnviroCert, I believe, is the agency that's in charge now of certification for like your blue cards, your red cards, that sort of stuff.
Once this gets approved, and copies of this will be,
I'll submit it to the state and keep us good that we've adopted the minimum state ordinance and we keep our issuing authority.
and then Richard will need to get this out to his developers and all, in our code of ordinances book.
Right, it'll be updated in the code of ordinance.
Okay. All right. Any other questions to that? All right. I think we about covered all my notes. I don't have, Richard, you got anything? Rodney, you got anything else? Curtis?
No, I'm good.
Hey? Miss Deborah?
No, sir. We have a holiday coming up next Friday.
We do have a holiday coming up next Friday. Everybody put that's Veterans Day. There will be a small parade in town. Also this weekend, if I can make the announcement, Take Day is having their celebration Saturday morning. I think the little parade that they're going to have starts at 10 o'clock. And then later, then it's going to run all day they got vendors and all down there. And I think Saturday evening, what time does Hinton? Hinton's got a fall festival.
On the 12th.
Oh, it's not this Saturday.
It's the day after that.
Saturday, okay. Well, that's good, because then I won't have to come up down there tomorrow, on Saturday night. Anybody got any announcements before we depart? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.